What is up, Top Madden? It has come to my ear that not so much come to my attention, but obviously everybody's seen the chat conversation with Shrimp. A little roast session, but this is not a demeaning post. This is more so to kind of review, to teach, like we do in our coaches' corners. But at the same time, kind of a good refresher of the rules and how they pertain to Top Madden, what we allow, what we don't. So um, let's go ahead and chat a little bit about defense. So I'm gonna do what I can. This is kind of like what I do with Derek here when I'm doing all the IT lessons, but I don't. Writing is the hard part. Bad handwriting. I'm sorry. So let's think about defense as kind of two main categories. Okay, A B. Okay, two main categories, and we have our base defense, be our category A, and B, let's just say passing defense. Okay, like remember, we're not trying to do the perfect terminology here. What we're trying to do is just get you going into your Madden games playing a little bit smarter. So this is going to be more how it pertains to Madden. I wouldn't say we're going to jump too big into defenses from a mental level. Just when you're going to pick your plays, what you should be doing. Okay. So let's talk about base defense first. So base, what does it mean base? And then there's like another category that's going to be over here, and another category that's here, the right side of passing, maybe more extreme. But anyways, base defenses. There's two. The most common base defenses, and for the sake of conversation, that's what we're going to call 4-3 and 3-4. Okay, these are the two base defenses that you're going to be in Madden. You're either going to be a 4-3 team or you're going to be a 3-4 team. And you can kind of do anything with really whatever you want in Madden. Obviously, in real life, the positional roles, what a person can and can't do is a little bit more limiting in real life. But in Madden, we keep it simple, and you're allowed to change however you wish, as long as people are playing in the right positions. But there isn't like just because you're bad at one thing, or just it really is a preference thing. 3-4 seems to be favored this year, but a lot of guys still run 4-3. And then passing, that's when we start seeing nickel. That's when we start seeing dime. And then that's when we start seeing dollar. Okay. Now that's kind of the two, I would say. This is where in A, you're really thinking about playing the run. This is like early downs. When I say early downs, I mean like first down, 1st and 10, where there's a real reason. There, I would say you're thinking that there's about a 50% or more chance that they're going to be running the football. You would probably want to be thinking about running base. If you're in a situation where it's about 50% or less that they're going to be running the football, things like 3rd and long, 2nd and long, after you've maybe gotten a sack or you held them and it's 2nd and 10, late in the game, late in the half, when you know that they need to move downfield as soon as possible. That's now when we're in column B here, when we know it's like 50%. But like, 3rd and 2, okay, hey, now you have a decision to make. Do you want to make sure you have a defense that's more ample to stop the run, or do you want to have a defense that's more able to stop the pass? Some guys have good enough D lines that they can play nickel and stop the run, and nickel can almost become their base defense as well, like in terms of just defending the run, and then that gives them that extra ability to also have DBs on the field as we go a little bit in detail of what they are and what nickel is or whatever. But and then of course you've seen different formations. You've seen normal, odd, wide, same thing, 3-3-5 odd, 3-3-5 bear. We'll talk a little bit about those, but those are just more so we'll go into what those are. So that's kind of the thing. Now when you're in a situation where it's like, think of it as like there's a 90% chance or more that he's going to be running the football. So let's go 90% run over here. That's when we start talking about maybe 5-2, 4-6 bear, or 4-6 in general, or goal line. Okay. And there's a situation where somebody's at 90% or more. They're about to run the football. They're on the goal line. It's 3rd and inches. It's 4th and inches. It's Or maybe you're playing a team like Troy or the Titans, and it's 1st and 10, but you just know that they're about to run, or you've been getting dominated on the run. Then that's where these formations come in. They're not so much base defenses as much as they are kind of run heavy, stuff in the box defenses. Okay, they're a little bit more extreme. And on this side, same thing. If we're at 90% more or passing, it's not as big of a rule. You can still play nickel, dime, and dollar, but that's when you're going to see quarters and even prevent here, the extreme side. I would say quarters kind of lives in both categories here. Once again, it all depends, and we'll talk about the differences between quarters and dollar, and quarters and dime and things like that. And then there's subsets, so you could do a lot. There's a little bit less extreme here. I guess prevent would be your only truly extreme. You don't want to be running prevent at regular times in the game. Prevent is when it's 3rd and 20, 4th and 20, the end of the half with 4 seconds left. That Wout should have ran against P-Town to not give yourself a pass. The whole point is you have to beat me by passing and then avoiding 7 tackles. That's the concept of prevent defense, is you're going to pass the football short, because if you throw it up in the air, there's going to be 10 of us trying to jump at the ball. And then after you catch it, you're going to have to do that. So there's our review or our overview here. So let's move. How do I move around? Maybe just, okay, so we talked about that. Now let's look at 4-3 versus 3-4. I'm struggling here. Okay, so let's look at them first off on this screen. Okay, so what we're looking at right now is 4-3. Okay, the 4-3 stands for what we call the front 7 of football. Okay, the DBs do not count. There's 11 people on the field. We're taking the defensive backs out, 2 safeties, a corner and a corner. We're taking them out, and we're talking about the front 7. The first number, 4, in this scenario, means 4 down linemen. That means these are the guys that are down on the line of scrimmage with their hands in the dirt. Okay, and then 3 is the amount of linebackers on the field that are not with their hands down in the dirt, but they are what in 4-3 we'd call these off-ball linebackers. Okay, you have a middle linebacker, your Mike. You have an outside linebacker and another outside linebacker. Sometimes they refer to as Sam and Will. And those guys might change sides because one of them is the designated strong side linebacker. So depending on how the offense comes out, where they have their tight ends, the strong side is normally the side that has the tight end or the fullback to it. Where the most blockers are, that's the strong side. So then the Sam, if that's over on the left, the Sam's over here. If they come out with the heavy formation to the right, the Sam and the Will, these 2 outside linebackers, they'll switch. That's okay. The Mike normally stays right in the middle, kind of deal. So that's 4-3. So these defensive end, defensive tackle, defensive end. As we look at these positions, you really need to be thinking of this as interior edge. Why? He's the most outside person that's down on the line of scrimmage, excluding the cornerbacks, right? So edge setter, interior, and interior. Okay? So you have 2 of each, 2 edges, 2 interiors to make a total of 4. And then you have 3 off-ball linebackers. These guys are your Luke Kuechly's, your Levante Davids, your Devin Whites, your Bobby Wagner's here. Those are your off-ball linebackers that are designed to stop the run. And their 2 responsibilities are to play run gaps and be able to cover. Whereas defensive ends here, their responsibilities are to pass rush and play the edge. And then defensive tackles are obviously meant to stuff gaps in the rushing game and then also be able to rush the passer. So that is what 4-3 is, okay? Now let's talk about 3-4. You see the immediate difference. We talk about 4 down linemen and 3 linebackers. Now we have 3 down linemen and 3 linebackers. Now, the defensive end here is not the same as defensive end here. Okay, let's take, since we're talking about, well, let's take the Chargers, for example. These are edge rushers, okay, in 4-3 down here at the bottom. These defensive ends are your Khalil Macks, your Von Millers, your Joey Bosa's, your Melvin Ingrams, your Leonard Floyd's, these are just Danielle Hunter, Cam Jordan. These are edge rushers. And then your defensive tackles are your Aaron Donalds, just your fat boys. If you're thinking anybody that's over about 290, that's probably going to be a defensive tackle and interior lineman. When you move up here on the 3-4 side, this defensive end and this defensive end, these are the same as what you would see as a D tackle in 4-3. Okay, 290 pounds to about 300. If they're heavier, cool. But really, even 285, I guess you could say. But more than likely, these are interior. There are 3 interior linemen. Okay. This defensive tackle, why are they not all 3 defensive tackle? Well, 3-4 defensive ends are normally athletic beasts, but they're like, once again, 290 to 300. In a 3-4, your defensive tackle is normally very heavy. Think Snack Harrison, think 320 pounds or something like that. So, but how does that relate to top Madden? Well, when you have Joey Bosa here in a 4-3, and then you come here to 3-4, Joey Bosa can't play here. If he plays here, you're suspended. Or you'll lose Joey Bosa for a game. We'll talk about where Joey Bosa goes. These 3 positions here, DE, D tackle, DE, and 3-4, they're interchangeable, okay? You can take any defensive tackle or 3-4 defensive end that you have on your team, and they can play anywhere here. Down here, those guys, say you swap, can play at these 2 defensive tackle positions. Does that make sense? So think, all the defensive tackles, they're all interior linemen. They would play here in 3-4. So you'd have to have 3 compared to 2 starters. You'd have 3 starters in 3-4. So where would Joey Bosa or Melvin Ingram play? Well, they would play here at outside linebacker. In 3-4, there's 2 middle linebackers. You see here, ILB. Those are the off-ball linebackers in 3-4. So the guys that play here in 4-3, outside line, all of your 4-3 linebackers, your off-ball linebackers, they can now play the 2 middle linebacker positions in 3-4. And now you have these 2 new, think of it, positions. Even though they say outside linebacker, think of them as the same role as the defensive end. Okay, their responsibilities are to be edge rushers. They're going to be more down outside of the defensive ends, and they're going to rush more. We're going to go into more detail here on 3-4. I'm just trying to give you a visual example before I start tearing it up visually on my end as well, and talk about what does 3-4 versus 4-3 provide you, and then we'll go into how it equates to. So outside linebackers and edge rushers, these are a good example. This is Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram, if you're going to be a 3-4 team, Jack Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul. So, these guys are outside. Their responsibilities are to rush the passer and play the edge and run. Their responsibilities and their strengths are not within pass coverage, but Troy will tell you otherwise. And then the middle linebackers, these are the guys that play the same role as these 3 here. They're going to be predominantly stopping the run, flowing with the run, and then also their strength should also kind of be the same as these guys down here, these outside linebackers, which is pass rushing. Pass coverage. And once again, none of this has anything to do with the safeties or corners. So let's talk a little bit about the 3-4 versus 4-3, okay? So we kind of have, let's go ahead and throw up, a little bit of an example. 1, 3, 1, 2. So remember, 3-4, we have 3 down linemen, and then we have these edge rushers that are technically linemen. What we'll do is here for the black will be what we consider down linemen, and then or interior guys, and then these circles will be our edge guys kind of deal. And then these are just our standard off-ball circle and circle, so off-ball linebacker. So there's our denotation, I guess you could say. Black circles are interior. These are, when you see a black circle here, you're thinking 280, 290 plus pounds, and those guys are interchangeable. The edge rusher guys, actually not 280 because like Bosa's 285. So think 290 plus for these guys. For the open circle guys, those are our edge rushers. These are our Bosas, our Von Millers, kind of deal. They might range. Sometimes they're light. They're 230, maybe even 220 to about 280. And then the off-ball linebackers are our coverage linebackers. They're going to be right here. I'm just going to put a circle side. I don't even. Way too turn. Okay. And then 4-3 over here. We're working with 1. Oh, I'm incorrect. Because I just said, gave us a whole little thing here. So we're working with edges that would play the same role as guys here. It would be out here on the outside in 4-3, but down on the line of scrimmage. And then you have two fat boys here in the middle. And then we have three off-ball linebackers. 1, 2, 3. And let's kind of do what we did. Probably a better way to do this. Davey's going to. For off-ball linebackers, these should not be your Von Millers. This should not be your Samson Ebukams, your Nwosus. These are just Bobby Wagner and KJ Ryder here, okay? Chandler Jones shouldn't be here. Reuben Foster and Quan Alexander. Okay, so here we go. This is what they look like as we just saw on the chart. So what's the differences? What advantages do they provide? Well, over each other. Okay, let's talk about pass coverage. Which is better for pass coverage? Well, not talking about the pass rush, but let's go coverage. Well, in this one, they both have 4 DBs. And then these guys have 3 guys that are a little bit, that are supposed to be higher up in zone. All right. You want guys here that are like, I would say, ideally would be in the 80s, but somewhere between 70 to 85 in zone. You have 3 of those. Over here, you only have 2 plus the 4 DBs. So the pass coverage kind of goes a little bit in favor of 4-3 here. Let's say pass rush. Once again, pass rush is kind of all determined and based on who you have and what you can do with what you have, kind of deal. So there's kind of a even, but I would say there's a little bit of a favor with standard. When I say base pass rush, that means we're only bringing 4 people. Okay, so that means in 4-3, it's these 4 that are coming every single time. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Over here in 3-4. What makes 3-4 unique is that you don't know which 4 are coming, okay? It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and he drops into coverage. It could be, I need to make this. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he drops into coverage, or in a scenario where they're blitzing, it could be all of them. So what 4-3 allows you to do in comparison to 4, or what 3-4 allows you to do in comparison to 4-3 is there's a little bit of a guessing game. Okay, so I would say pass rush for base 4. I would say they're fairly even. I would give a little bit to 3-4 just because it's a little bit more equipped for a given scenario on early downs, right? Remember, this is for early downs. Okay. The main thing that we're worried about here is playing the run. Okay, so which one plays the run well? I'm going to go ahead and say 3-4 plays the run way better. Why? Because there's 5 people plugging up gaps on the line of scrimmage compared to 4. And you have these 2 guys that are floating over the top. You're just able to do more in terms of directly at the line of scrimmage with 3-4. Whereas 4-3 is, once again, a little, it's still one of the better run defenses in the league, but you're kind of not giving up too much in the pass column. Whereas out here, you're kind of losing a little bit in pass coverage in favor of having essentially 5 defensive linemen on the field, whereas this one really just has 4. Okay, so let's talk about a big one. So let's see, I'm trying to figure out where I want to go here, because the whole point here is that you should not be calling these. Remember, just I guess the rehash here is we should not be calling these on what we consider pass rush downs. These are early downs. This is 1st and 10, 2nd and short, 3rd and short. If you're in a scenario where it's 3rd and 15, you should not be calling these defenses. When you're in a scenario where you hold a lead and you know your opponent needs to be passing the football, or is going to be passing the football as many downs as they can, or you're playing a team that, like the Chiefs, that is made to pass the football, you do not want to be sitting in these coverages. You are going to lose so bad if you call these with anticipation, like if you're sitting there waiting to call a play, and it comes up that Willie or somebody has 3 wide receivers or more, do not call these plays. Do not call these plays. Okay? Unless he's coming out, let him come out and beat you in the run first. Okay? If he comes out with 3+ wide receivers and he comes out and then he runs inside zone and he's killing you on inside zone, okay, then you can maybe run 3-4, 4-3 against it, because you don't want to just get beat by something over and over again. But don't assume that that's what's going to happen first. Let him come out, because if you come out against 3 wide receivers and 3-4 or 4-3, and it's Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Mecole Hardman, these guys are not going to stand a fucking chance. They are not going to stand a fucking chance. These guys here, all like, no, they're just going. You're just gifting points, guys. You're just gifting points. Okay. So what are you doing? Let's see. Where's my train of thought here before I get too, because this isn't so much supposed to be a huge breakdown. All right, one more thing I'll cover on 3-4, 4-3. We talked about it within the pass coverage. You know that 1, 2, 3, and 4 are blitzing in here, or are coming. If you wanted to blitz, you can blitz a corner or blitz one of these guys. In 3-4, you don't really know which pass rusher's coming, but one of them's dropping into coverage, or they're going to blitz. Or also, these could drop, this guy could drop, and one of these guys could come. So there's a little bit of guesswork. But once again, you should not be thinking 3-4, how do I play the pass? You should be thinking 3-4 means I lose against the pass. So you really only want to call it against the run. 4-3 the same way, unless you have some God mode linebackers. And that's the difference, is a team that has God mode linebackers. Think about Bobby Wagner, Shaq Griffin, and KJ Wright. So Bobby's got the highest zone as a linebacker. Shaq has 92 speed, so you as the Seahawks still can run a lot more 4-3 than, say, me as the Patriots, because my best linebacker is 82 speed and has 63 zone. And my other linebacker that is fast has 50-something zone. So I can't run 4-3 at all. So let's talk about, this is the run. So now it's time to go to the pass, okay? So say it's first down. Willie comes out, or your opponent comes out in 3 wide receivers. He calls 3 wide receivers, but it's still those early downs, right? Well, we don't want to give him an advantage. Let's go ahead and call nickel. What is nickel? Oh, spelled nickel wrong. Well, what is, I'm just going to put an N for nickel. Nickel. So what are we doing in nickel, okay? So what we're going to do, the transition in 4-3 is easy, okay? We're going to take out a linebacker. So let's say this guy right here, we're going to take him out and we're going to bring in a cornerback. Okay? So you sub out this guy and then you bring a cornerback, a slot cornerback, a nickel cornerback into the field, and it's the same. Your 4 linemen down here, nothing changes. These guys, your best coverage linebackers will now play linebacker, and then you have one of them out and you brought in a cornerback. That way you have 3 cornerbacks. Now, oh my gosh, I'm tripping. You have 3 cornerbacks to play these 3 wide receivers, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players that are kind of gained to when he plays the run. Over here, the transition's a little different, okay? First off, you're going to be subbing out one of your defensive ends, or your D tackles here, okay? Which one you're subbing out is probably the slowest, fattest one, okay? Because remember, at this point, we're expecting the pass. When he comes out in 3 wide receivers or 4 wide receivers and we're playing nickel or dollar or dime, we're now expecting to play the pass, so we don't need our big run stuffer anymore. So we're going to sub this guy out, and we're going to bring in our cornerback. How does this work with Madden, though? Who determines which of these guys come in? Well, on the depth chart, this cornerback is listed as the sub cornerback on your depth chart. That's the guy that is coming in when you switch to nickel. Well, who determines who's one of these 4 down linemen? Because if you know what nickel looks like, it's very similar to 4-3. Doesn't look anything like 3-4. Actually, it's probably would be in my best interest to kind of draw nickel out here. So, nickel, what does nickel look like? We have, which one? Yep. So nickel, you have an edge rusher. Fat boy, fat pass rusher. And when I say fat, I mean that's Aaron Donald right there. You know what I'm saying? It's not just all fat, but it's the big boys. And then you have another edge rusher. Now we have 2 linebackers. And then we have 3 cornerbacks. Okay, we have a cornerback over here, and then another cornerback that comes in, and then a safety, and then a safety. Okay, so this is what we're looking at when we see nickel. Okay, so like I said up here, we take a linebacker out and we sub in a corner. He's right here. He can float all over, and now you have the ability to play those 3 wide receivers with 3 cornerbacks. Okay, when you're in 3-4, you take out the fat guy, you bring in a cornerback. And then these 2 guys slide down. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4. These guys that were playing 3-4 outside linebacker are now going to be playing what you would see as, in the depth chart, it's known as rush right end and rush left end, okay? So when you go to the depth chart and you say rush right end, that should be this guy. And rush left end, that should be this guy. Coming down. So now in nickel play, he should not. If these guys, all right, if Von Miller, Joey Bosa, I'm trying to think of all the edge rushers like Shaq Barrett, Brian Burns. If those guys are playing right here in this little off-ball linebacker spot, you're wrong. Lorenzo Carter, wrong. You're wrong. They do not play here. They play on the line of scrimmage in nickel, dollar, dime. Okay. So, anyways, we're back in nickel. Let me kind of clean this up a little bit here. Why are we in nickel? Because we're expecting the pass, okay? So we've taken a player out. In 3-4, you're taking out a fat boy. In 4-3, you're taking out a linebacker. And you're bringing in a cornerback. In 3-4, these outside edge rushers that we're playing there in 3-4 are now going to slide down to play rush left end and rush right end. And then the 2 guys that play here, okay, those are on the depth chart known as sub linebackers. Okay. And now we're in nickel. There we go. That's what. So now we're in nickel. This is what you're trying to do when you play the pass, really. You just have sorry, here I'm tripping. So here you're a nickel, and you're ready to play the pass. Now, dollar, dime, quarters, variation, that's when you're just doing more. You're bringing in, I think, like, let's see what Google has for dime. Because now we're getting into 3-3-5. So now it looks like you're bringing in another defensive back here. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 defensive backs, 1 linebacker, and 4 down linemen. Okay? So you would take one of these guys out. So let's say this is your Mike. What we'll do is we'll sub him out. We'll sub out your 1 linebacker, and we're going to bring in another cornerback. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 cornerbacks, a free safety, a strong safety, and a Mike linebacker, and 4 linemen. So that's what we would call dime. Now, when we go to dollar, what we're going to do is we're going to be subbing out another one of these fat boys. And we're going to be bringing in another player here. This is going to be another safety to play next to the linebacker. Okay? So you would sub one of these out, so you would just have 3 at this point. That's whenever you see just 3 pass rushers. It's not always dollar, but now what you're doing is you're sacrificing pass rush to have more defensive backs on the field, and you're bringing a safety in next to the middle linebacker. To kind of play there. So now you have a shit ton. There's just so many DBs on the field. You're moving around. This is now kind of away from what I wanted to do with this. It's quarters. You're even more DBs on the field. It's just 3-3-5 is another actually we'll wrap up with 3-3-5 and then that'll be it. Actually no, I don't even want to do 3-5. I'm fucking. My whole point here is let's kind of do a quick review. Is this is the key thing here. When you are sitting there at the line of scrimmage, not even at the line of scrimmage, play call screen, and you're thinking, what formation do I need to pick? Because on offense, honest to God, do whatever the fuck you want. Because you're not picking your offense based on his defense. You can't even see his defense until you get out there. But when you're sitting there on defense waiting for P-Town to pick a play, okay, you need to consider a couple things. You need to consider who the hell you're playing, what the down and distance is, okay, and what's the scenario in the game. So let's do 3 of them. Okay, let's do 3 and talk about how people play in the league. So let's say we are playing, let's say we are a base 4-3 team. Okay, 3-4. 4-3. We're a base 4-3 team. Our scenario is this. It's second and 8. The score is 7-0. Us. And it's in second quarter. 4 minutes left. And our opponent is who's our opponent? Let's say our opponent is Texans, okay? So if you look at the Texans throw the shit out of the football. Okay? The Texans have Kenny Stills, Brendan Cooks, and Will Fuller. Those are 3 wide receivers that are over 92 speed, 2 of them over 95 speed. Okay? The whole point is if we have slow on the field, we're going to be hurt. Okay? Now, it's second and 8. So that means he just had to play for 2 yards. It's early in the game, and the time doesn't matter. What I mean by second quarter, 4 minutes, there's plenty of time. Nobody is thinking, I've got to pass now because they have to beat out halftime or they have to try. The idea is nobody is panicking and throwing a shit ton. Nobody's off schedule. And let's say he comes out in gun ace that has 2 wide receivers, okay? It's got 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, and 1 halfback, okay? Well, we have 2 wide receivers. He just ran. And we have a significant, we just stuffed a run. And we have a significant mismatch in terms of speed. But he didn't put 3 wide receivers on the field. If we're a 4-3 team and I can trust my linebackers, let's say I'm Shrimp, okay? Let's just be Shrimp in this scenario since this is the guy I bashed. But remember, this is not to be demeaning. This is being educational. Shrimp, you have Kenneth Murray. You got Denzel Perryman. Those are pretty talented linebackers. You have an excellent pass rush. So you like a superb pass rush. Okay, so you know that he's not going to have all day to throw the football if he does try to throw it. You know that you have Chris Harris Jr., superstar. You have Derwin James back there. You have Desmond King. You have an elite secondary. So in your opinion, can you trust your 4 elite secondary players, Derwin James, Chris Harris Jr., Casey Hayward? Can you trust your 4 guys against 2 wide receivers? I think you can. So what are you going to do? We're going to make sure that he doesn't get a run. Because if we come out in a defense that gives him the run, okay, and he gets 6 yards because we were so worried about the pass, now it's 3rd and 2. Now we have to worry more about the pass or the run, and we have to overcommit. Let's say in this scenario, let's come out in 4-3, and this is not the end-all be-all. Coming out in nickel would be perfectly fine, but you can come out in 4-3 or nickel, and you prepare to play, I would say, play the run at 50% and the pass at 50%. Don't overcommit. Don't start blitzing people. Don't start stacking the box and giving him a pass over the top. What you want to do is you want to force him to throw the ball short. You actually no, you just want to make sure your pass rush can get home, and you want to play the run because you want to make it, if he tries to run again, you can make it 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 8 or whatever. Okay, now if he's been passing all game, or if you run that one time, you see that formation and he runs and then he passes the ball and he gets a big play or whatever, keep that in your mind. You go, okay, I can't guard 2 receivers with 4-3. But here, 4-3 or nickel is the best play call. I would say, since he is a pass heavy guy, I would lean nickel because your D line is so good. But 4-3 wouldn't be bad. Let's go in a scenario where you're up 17 and like you were against Willie, and it's third quarter with 1.5 minutes left, and it's 1st and 10. Okay. Well, remember, we said 1st and 10 early downs. We should be playing 4-3 and 3-4, right? No. There's 1.5 minute left in the third, and then there's only 8 minutes left. And you're already beating him by 17. So when people are in this situation late in the game, they are panicking. They are thinking, I have got to score, and I have got to score quick. Do not sit on your lead and just go, oh, I can just call whatever, especially against the Chiefs, okay? And this is a scenario that kind of brought this up. You're leading. He has pressure to pass the football, okay? If he runs the football, what does he do? If you make him run 4-yard run, 3-yard run, 4-yard run, that's just time coming off the clock, time that he cannot afford to lose. Whereas the easiest and quickest way to score points is passing. So what you want to do is take that away from him. You want to say, Willie, you absolutely can run against me, but you're going to have to run a lot of time off the clock. Or, Willie, if you want to pass, I'm not giving you anything deep. So what defenses should we be in at that point? We should be in dime. We should be in dollar. If I'm you, Shrimp, I'm in dollar. Why? Because I can now slide Bosa inside, and because he's over 200, I think 70 pounds is the ruling. So you have Bosa inside at D tackle. You have Ingram and you have Nwosu. You have 3 pass rushers that everybody in the league wants. Okay, so that would be your pass rush, and you're gonna sit in cover 3 or cover 4 or 2-man. And you're just going to make him throw the football into 8 people playing defense, okay? That's what you need to be doing. You came out in 4-3 normal, and while he was running 3 wide receivers with the best tight end in the game, so when you see Kelsey, you should see that as a wide receiver, okay? When you see Travis Kelsey, if they come out with 3 wide receivers and 1 tight end, you mentally need to be going, oh, he has 4 wide receivers on them. Because that's how good of a tight end Travis Kelsey is, that he should be treated as an elite wide receiver in terms of how you play coverage. So that is the scenario for you, is dollar. And just tell him, because if you run 4-3 and you give up a massive touchdown, you lose the momentum, and he scored and was able to make it a 10-point game without even worrying, without time. Like the fact now he has the whole fourth quarter. Now he has to stop you and score again. Whereas before, if you would have made him score that he may have scored, but if he scored that touchdown with 5 minutes left in the fourth, now he has to stop you on 2 possessions and score twice against you. That's the scenarios you need to be thinking. 4-3, 3-4, going back to my original thing here. If we are coming out and we're expecting to run at, let's say, 60 to 80% run, we're playing 4-3 and 3-4. Okay, if we're at 90+% run or plus, we're going to 5-2 and 46 defense and goal line. If we're at, and really goal line, seriously, only do it on the goal line. Do not, if you see wide receivers on the field, don't do that. 5-2, 4-6, and then this is your extreme goal line. Same for here. Now, if you're coming out here and it's like less than, if it's like, let's say 40% run, 60% pass, then we're going nickel and dime. If you're at 60 to 80% pass, we're going dollar and quarters. And then if he's at 90% passing, quarters or prevent. Okay? That's really, I know this is an ugly chart, but that's how you should be thinking it. And then that's going to guide you. Okay? If you're in any scenario where you're like, man, he should really be passing here. And also, what happens if you don't know? What happens if you are struggling to figure out what this person's going to do? Now, let's worry about what the opponent is. Troy, run. Troy wants to run most of the time. So in these scenarios where you're like 50-50 and you feel like you have to play, force them to do what they don't want to do. Okay? Pitchaz does not want to throw the football. So if you're in a scenario like, is he going to run or is he going to pass? Play the run and make him pass. Make him pass. And if he, let the person beat you at something before he beats you. Because if you just say, oh, he's going to throw against me if I come out in this run defense, and he's just going to beat me, so I should probably just play pass, and then you just give up 8 to 9 yards and 200 yards on the ground. No, you're playing Warren. His quarterback is 60 overall. So if you're in a halfway scenario, you got a guy that's 60 overall, and then you got Jonathan Taylor, who's got damn near 60 touchdowns. So who do you want to play? Well, let's focus all effort on Jonathan Taylor. And if Warren beats you with Jacob Eason, well, goddamn, good game, dude. You've done beat me with Jacob Eason. I can't, you can't do, you can't outplay yourself. Sometimes you're just going to get beat, and that's the nature of the beast. But don't beat yourself is what this whole concept is about. Don't beat yourself. Let yourself get beat by 68 overall Jacob Eason. Okay? You're playing me. I'm not going to say that because I got a playoff game next. You know what I'm saying? You're playing, who's a non-playoff team? Oh, you're playing Jordan. So you're playing Jordan, and you go look at his thing pregame, and you see he's got damn near 1 billion passing yards, and like 90% of those passing yards are to Michael Thomas. Okay, play the fucking pass. Make him beat you at Alvin Kamara, and you know what? He's the Saints. He's got an elite running back. There's not much that you're gonna be able to do. But what you don't want to do is give up free yards to his his 99 overall wide receiver. That's what you don't want to do. So use this as a guide of how you approach. And if you ever see 3 or more wide receivers, you need to be in column B or to the right. The only exception is if he's in like single back 3 wide receivers. But even then, let him beat you. Let him beat you on the run in that scenario first. If he comes out in single back, so he's under center and he has, a bunch of wide receivers on the field, 3 wide receivers and a tight end, I would say come out in nickel. And then if he's doing that and running the ball, then make the adjustment depending on down and distance. But do not make these mental mistakes because most of you guys are losing games right here. You're losing games the moment you pick a play in a bad formation. Also, don't commit to your mistake just because you made it. Maybe you accidentally clicked 4-3 normal too quickly, and then that person came out an empty 5 wide, and he's got 4 wide receivers on the field, and everybody's spread out. Call a timeout. Call a timeout. What you don't want to do is change your play at the line of scrimmage because you're not going to be able to change your formation on defense. You already have the personnel out there. And then get caught, have them snap the football while your guys are running all over the field. Just call a timeout and live with the consequence, especially in a close game. So that's all I got. That's 40-something minutes of talking about this. So I hope you learned something.